The start of the 20th century saw the arrival of tanks, fearsome armored vehicles capable of breaking through enemy defenses. There was one small problem, though. They were very expensive right from the get-go. Not every nation could afford to design and produce their own tanks, and that's why it often made sense for a developing country to buy them from industrial powerhouses, like the US or the Soviet Union. That was exactly the conclusion India came to in the mid-1950s. The country desperately needed to have a capable tank force, but was short on both money and qualified personnel to make their own tanks from scratch. At first, India considered reaching an agreement with Germany, but then the British turned up and snatched the initiative by making an offer that was very hard to refuse. Not only were they ready to help set up factories in India to produce tanks, but they also agreed to pass the technical know-how to local engineers. India agreed, and so the British got down to business. The project was given to the veterans of the defense industry. The engineering team at Vickers responsible for a lot of good tank designs. For instance, they developed the Valentine infantry tank, which made quite a name for itself fighting against German forces in Africa. Of course, that was all in the past. But Vickers was still very much in the game, with a team of top-bracket engineers that also knew fully well that new times required new solutions. One of the new things that they proposed was not to waste resources trying to equip the tank with invincible armor. Instead, they went in the same direction as the teams that developed the German Leopard or the French AMX-30, and prioritized mobility and firepower. The tank was given barely enough armor to protect it from autocannons, but it was also given a gun and an engine that the British could be fully confident in. The 105mm L7 cannon that was previously used on the Centurion, and the Leyland L60 diesel engine that was already tested on the Chieftain prototype. The overall design of the tank didn't change much throughout the development process, but there were a few variables here and there. For instance, at some point, engineers considered equipping it with either Vickers Vigilant or Swingfire anti-tank missiles. The tank was given a roomy, well-ventilated interior. In testing, the vehicle with a well-trained crew was able to achieve a rate of fire which was higher than anything expected of the L7 cannon. All in all, it was designed to be a simple, low-cost and effective tank, which was also relatively light, with a weight of less than 40 tons. In 1964, the Indian Army was able to test a complete prototype of the brand-new Vickers Mark I. The tests were successful, and after a few minor tweaks, the vehicle was accepted into service as the Vijayanta, which means victorious. This MBT is still employed by the Indian Army today, even though most Vijayantas have already been replaced with the Soviet T-72s or the Russian T-90s. At the same time, despite its success in India, the new tank failed to attract a lot of customers. The only other client was Kuwait, that purchased 70 tanks. That wasn't much, but enough to keep Vickers running for more than a decade. The Vickers Mark II did not proceed beyond a mock-up. Instead, during the 1970s, the company pushed straight to the Mark III. Visually, it was pretty similar to the preceding model, but there were a lot of significant changes under the hood. The tank received a new turret and a brand new computerized fire control system with a laser rangefinder. The new turret allowed for better vertical firing angles of the gun, giving it a depression of -10 degrees. The Leyland engine was replaced with a more powerful Detroit diesel, and the new tank could also carry more ammo. Despite all those improvements, the Vickers Mark III remained both cheap and reliable, which meant that it was still a good option for developing countries. It was purchased by Kenya and Nigeria. Unfortunately, that was the last big success of the company. Vickers failed to secure contracts with other foreign clients, and the British military weren't really interested in the vehicle, as the idea of a mobile tank with no armor was still alien to them. Not to mention that, compared to the Centurion, the Vickers tank was considerably less adaptable to streamlined production methods. During the 1980s, Vickers tried to reclaim the lost ground with a new project, the Vickers Mark V, or the VFM-5, a light, air-portable tank designed in cooperation with an American defense manufacturer. Once again, Vickers hoped to find clients overseas, but the new venture failed to attract customers as well. The company's next project was also a failure. The Vickers Mark VII MBT was designed as an export vehicle, and also as a possible successor to the Challenger MBT. It was a brand new tank, with very little resemblance or connection to the previous model. Engineers at Vickers took the body of the German Leopard 2, gave it a turret taken from the experimental Vickers Mark IV, and equipped the vehicle with Chobham armor. The tank could also be fitted with either of the three different 120mm guns, the British L11, the German RH-120, and the French CN-120. Unfortunately, the government opted for the Challenger 2 instead. Around the start of the new century, the company was finally merged into a bigger defense conglomerate and stopped existing as an independent entity. Despite that, Vickers tanks are still in service, having proved time and time again that they are both reliable and effective. Furthermore, Vickers tanks are available in War Thunder. You can find them at high ranks of the British tech tree. What do you think about these vehicles? Was there a way for the company to succeed? Were the British justified in their decision not to employ their latest models? We love to hear what you have to say, so please tell us what you think in the comments below.